Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Town Manager Download, a podcast about local government and the town of Shrewsbury. I'm Kevin Mizikar, the Town Manager of the town of Shrewsbury, and as always, I'm joined by Communications Coordinator Taylor Galusha. In today's episode, we'll be joined by Joel Kimball, the Fleet Management Division Manager, to discuss the newest division within the Department of Public Works and what he's been up to. What's going on, Taylor?
Nothing much. Just getting off the weekend. We had a long weekend the week before, and now we're kind of back to normal again.
I was going to say, I didn't have a long weekend.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yep.
Today's Monday. Not a long weekend.
Yep.
Anything fun on this normal, not long weekend?
Well, this normal, not long weekend, kind of busy with some work stuff, but just recently went out skiing a couple times, narrowing down the list for some college search stuff coming up for my daughter, and we're headed into dance competition season, so that will fill many weekends in the near future until we get to hopefully warmer weather in the spring. It's been cold.
It has been cold. It's been rough.
Yeah. Some like real winter weather.
Yeah.
Snow every other day and cold temperatures.
And wind.
Yep.
How
about you?
Yeah, I went home to my parents and I dog sat our dog for them while they went to the Bruins game this past weekend. They had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with my dog. So
it's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
Did the Bruins win?
They did, 9-4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Canadians.
Heard about that. Getting on some live texting action with one of my friends.
Yep. But yeah, Brady was not a super big fan of the cold weather. She just, even though when we would let her out, she'd just stand there and stare at me. I don't know if it was like why did you send me out here? Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So just gotta do what I gotta do for her.
Yeah.
She's top dog, literally. So.
Yeah.
What's going on with more worky things?
What's up in the Shrew?
Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Well, this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, was the Massachusetts Municipal Association conference. So I was conferencing, right? So it was a good conference. I think there was almost 1,500 people there.
Oh wow!
Which was probably one of the largest ever turnouts for it, and all those folks got to see that Shrewsbury, mostly Taylor Galusha, won the annual town report. Second place in the largest population category. So that was awesome. Had
Dove.
The Shrew featured on the main screen in the opening session, which was great.
Lots of pictures.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was pretty excited.
Yeah, it was good. So,
any highlights from the conference? What'd you learn? Things like that?
Yeah, I went to a bunch of good sessions, heard from the governor and the lieutenant governor. So as far as the speaker goes, Gina McCarthy, who is a climate expert and was appointed by President Biden to work on, I don't know if she's a climate czar. I know that title often goes to John Kerry, but she was really dynamic and interesting speaker, and has a lot of experience, served at the head of DEP, I think, or equivalent in Connecticut for a while. She's born and raised in Massachusetts. Just really interesting speaker. Talked about COP 28 or whatever, what the right number of that was that she was just at in Dubai.
Yep.
Really engaging speaker, so I enjoyed that. As far as interactions at the conference, I was asked and joined in the new attendee session, which is the first session, 8 o'clock on Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And there was about 15 or 20 of us that signed up, a couple managers, a couple mayors, select board members, to make sure we got representation for all the attendees. There's like 200 new attendees that came. Wow. And so I got to meet a lot of new people and kind of engage with folks who had never been to a conference before and see what their interests were. And help them find a direction throughout the conference and what might be most meaningful for them. So it was good. I never
So-
did that before.
Yeah.
Liked it.
Little mentor action.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was enjoyable.
Nice.
So I started officially my second year on the Massachusetts Municipal Association board and the Managers Association Executive Committee. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So
Anything to look forward to, or are you just excited?
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of work that we're going to be doing with the administration, particularly and hopefully the legislature, because the governor filed legislation known as the Municipal Empowerment Act, which attempts to make reforms with regards to a variety of things that will be helpful to local government, including new revenue opportunities and changes to some existing, I'll say, red tape in state legislation that impacts our operations. So that should definitely be a highlight over the course of the next year as that works its way through. We'll see how quickly it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad you had a good time at
Yeah.
the conference and saw all our friends
Yeah. What else is up?
in the
the
shrew. We have our second annual town meeting member interest forum coming up on February 8th at 7 p.m. at Oak Middle School. So we hosted this last year, kind of spearheaded by Teresa Flynn, to kind of give the community like an inside look at the time commitment, kind of what the town meeting member body like does. Because it can be super intimidating to run for a position that you don't know anything about. So that's coming up, and we had to reschedule our homeowner basics forum that was supposed to be last week, but with the weather, it wasn't safe to kind of have people out and about at that time. So it'll now be February 20th at 6 p.m. at the police department. So if you already signed up, you don't really need to do anything, but if you want to sign up, you still have basically a month to do so. So it'll be super interesting with all different town staff and kind of just let people that are new homeowners in town or current homeowners in town kind of get to know ins and outs and just basics with
I like that.
your interaction as a homeowner with your municipality. So
It's another good point of engagement.
yeah,
I
I
really like that.
shout out to Patty Sheehan, the building inspector, for kind of coming up with the idea and bringing all the stakeholders together. So
Great.
it's awesome. That's all I really have for what's new in the shrew. What's up in the shrew? I like new though. I want to change it.
I don't think we can change stuff on the fly like that.
I don't know.
No.
But let's kind of dive into our topic for today, talking about the fleet management division, which, like you said at the beginning, is our newest division within DPW.
Yep.
Go
So
ahead.
I mean, we are always looking to provide the right resources, leadership, and skill sets, to meet the needs. And like many towns, I would say, although I haven't read all the history books on this, most towns, even the smaller ones, have some type of vehicle maintenance that occurs by staff within their traditional highway division,
Yeah.
right? That's where most of the heavy equipment is. A lot of them also do some servicing of maybe police cruisers or something like that. But Shrewsbury, given our size and the way we've approached the Department of Public Works since 2018, it became really obvious and evident that we need some more resources in that area, that we could probably build upon and leverage those skill sets that we have within the division to provide more comprehensive support outside of the Department of Public Works to police, and maybe some additional departments in the future that we can talk about once Joel comes on. But it's really a ton of work that's going on within this division. We have a huge fleet of vehicles that we need to support, and they range from public safety and heavy duty equipment to traditional passenger vehicles, and many of those we're greening our fleet and going to EV. So it's becoming complicated, and needs beyond full-time management of that. It's a big asset of the town, and the better we keep our fleet, the more we can manage costs, and certainly a huge return on investment from the work that we do within the division. And I look forward to talking about some of those projects. I'm sure people,
Yeah.
may be able to, think about the scope of work that we do, but I'm pretty sure that we'll exceed their expectations when we get into some projects when we talk about it with Joel. So, yeah, so it wasn't part of the original DPW, like when it was established in 2018, but it's definitely, I think, an interesting part about our operations, and I'm really proud of the work that the division does and the support that they provide to really a growing number of town departments as our fleet expands, as our
Yeah.
business needs
I
dictate.
feel like their like goal like aligns with like the rest of the DPW pretty well about like maintaining like our infrastructure and being like proactive
Yep.
as well as like reactive when something like breaks down on the fly, but by like investing time and energy
Yeah.
into maintaining our fleet, we avoid a lot of those like reactive
Yeah.
situations. Some are unavoidable, but
Yep.
they're super skilled, and we're lucky to have our fleet management team.
Yeah, so I mean, part of the work that they do still is very well, always has been, but is still complementary and has specific focus during DPW weather events, response, and things like that. But it's so much broader than that. Even in other divisions within the Department of Public Works and then other departments generally. So I look forward to this conversation and hearing what those best practices are and how we're maybe similar to towns and different than others. So I guess without further ado, it's time to bring on the Fleet Management Division Director, Joel Kimball. So welcome to the Town Manager Download, Joel. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Of course, yeah. So we look forward to talking about the Fleet Management Division. What we always like to take the opportunity to have our listeners get to know the guest a little bit more into detail. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your career path into local government and the position that you're in, how long you've been with the town, and how you ended up as the Fleet Management Division Manager.
Sure. So I'm originally from the Shrew.
Yeah?
Yeah, born and raised, and so is my family.
Okay.
Like we were just off air talking, I went to Assabet Trade School, and I graduated there, studied metal, welding and fabrication. From there, I went to work for a local hauling company, and I spent 12 years right out of school, 12 years with them. Doing road work, welding, and started turning wrenches for them. And then I went from there to a fire truck dealership right down the road. Actually, the same fire truck dealership that Shrewsbury sold their trucks to, buy their trucks from.
Okay.
So that was kind of neat, seeing the Shrewsbury truck coming through before I still got pictures of my kids sitting in front of it before Shrewsbury took delivery of it. And and I was just getting to the end of all that, and spent enough time behind the windshield driving around doing road work. And I remember coming down here as a kid, seeing all the large toys and everything that they got to play with down at the highway barn and everything, and I was just in awe of it. And I saw our opening, applied for it. A couple rounds of interviews, they hired me.
What position was that? Do you remember?
That was just I was a technician.
Okay.
So just on the floor, and I was the full time at the time. There was only 3 in the garage, and one was a half and half, and I was the full time mechanic for the time. And then my supervisor, Jim Libby, he retired, and I went for the position, got that. I was the supervisor for roughly about 5 years or so.
Okay.
And then town saw a need for a fleet management division, and I was lucky enough to be chosen for the position.
Yeah. Great. So let's jump. So when you were at the fire truck dealership, were you doing manufacturing or fit outs, or what was your role there?
So I was the foreman on the floor there,
Okay.
and I used to do a lot of aluminum welding
Okay.
and setups. We would do complete refurbishments. Brand new trucks would come in for towns all throughout New England.
Mm-hmm.
I would also go out and do the road work. Where I wore many hats
Mm-hmm.
while being there, and yeah, it was aluminum's probably one of my most favorite things to work with, whether
Okay.
it be welding or forming or anything. So that was great. But I saw just really interested in the position with the town. Like I said, being from here,
Yeah.
that my father worked for the town,
Yeah.
my grandfather worked for the town, so all in the highway divisions.
Okay.
My father left at the right after the blizzard of '78. So it's kind of cool to work in the same garage your father did
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
That's really
everything.
cool.
So
Yeah. Nice. So, you had mentioned, of course, being in the fleet management division. At one point, when you started, there were 2.5 employees there. What's it like now? Talk about your staff. How do you have things set up, and how many people work for you?
yeah, I have a really real talented team, which is great. We have there's a total of 4 of us
Okay.
for everybody in town, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have a working for supervisor and then 2 techs underneath him. And we have a very interesting position in our jobs that we need to know a broad amount of just about everything. It's so anything from a chainsaw to a lawnmower to a snowblower to a loader to a big dump truck to a police car. You see a lot of different things come through the door. So you kind of got to have that attitude of, what can I work on next and find it cool. So
Nice. So, I remember whenever we were having the internal conversations about the fleet division, we wanted to really be clear from the outset that it was more about maintenance, right? So it's not the fleet maintenance division, which I think is a traditional name that's used, right? It's the fleet management division.
Right.
And so why don't you talk about your role in planning for equipment and working with other department heads and some things that you do specifically as the manager? And I know we're getting into EVs and all those other things. So
Yeah.
how do we pick vehicles and what makes sense from your standpoint?
So there's certain things that I take into consideration, and as we move forward, I like to work with the other division managers and try and figure out what's out there for technology, what's there something different that we can do as new technology vehicles, everything starts getting introduced. Should we be at the forefront of it? Should we jump in right away, or should we kind of play it out, let it go for a couple of years? And also, what can we take a look at as how things we've been doing? Is there a more efficient way to do it and everything? So,
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up EVs, and that's been a whole lot of conversations about those. Whether or not it's right for everybody, or whether or not where they fit in. And I think we've made some good goals and good strides towards getting them implemented where we can help them. They can help us out in town and everything. So
We've done like other exploration too. Like we did we visited a facility that uses like the propane
yep.
to fuel their vehicles, and
Yeah, why don't you talk about that a little
yeah,
bit?
it was
Yeah,
cool.
that's
It was a fun visit.
It was.
yeah.
It was. I had no idea about it. So I attended a alt-wheel seminar, and where they really talked heavily this year about propane and being a dual-use fuel in the vehicles. They start on gas, and then when they get up to temperature, they seamlessly swap over to propane. And then if you run out of propane, it'll seamlessly swap back to gas. Looking at the amount of carbon emissions and everything, that propane, I mean, it's a very interesting technology. And the problem that we seem to be running into with EVs is 24-hour operation. I mean, how do you have a truck out there plowing, let's say, for 24 hours and recharging it for 8 out of those,
Right.
you know, and also the cost, you know, and everything. So it's a real interesting technology. We were lucky enough to have somebody in town that has been utilizing it for 10 plus years, and they've had great results with it. So it's very early stages of looking into it, of whether or not it would be a viable option or anything for 24/7 operations
Yeah,
and stuff. So, yeah.
Much less carbon.
Yeah, it's almost, from what he was reporting, only, you know, up to 98% less.
Oh, wow.
And everything, so, and, you know, it's in nature of the industry and everything of when you're out in the winter, whether it be a water break or a catch basin repair or any one of these divisions that, you know, you got to keep the vehicle running in order to keep warm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
it's just,
Part
you
of the
know, it's
job.
part of the job, like
Yeah.
you say.
Yeah.
So is an EV perfect for that 24/7 type
Right.
operation? One in the morning, they're out there, their hands are freezing, you got to
Yep.
keep it going.
Yep.
The hybrid options just don't seem to be there yet for a gas electric hybrid. But
Not as much savings either. Not you're not looking at 98% less carbon emissions from a hybrid vehicle.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you know, to buy the propane fuel itself is if you buy it in a wholesale situation, it's much cheaper than regular gas and everything. So it's a very interesting technology, and you
And
know,
I assume it applies to some areas that EVs are lagging in as far as heavy equipment and things like that.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. You know, there's the heavier trucks that plow for us, you know, and that we have that plow. It's just not there, not even for a vehicle, for a larger vehicle, say with just something simple as a lift gate on the rear for picking
Sure.
up something heavy.
Yep.
That hasn't gone that direction yet, and let alone a 24/7 response, you know, operation such as ours.
Yeah.
So
So how does this all correlate back, Joel? We talked a little bit about this, your staff, and we're looking forward to, you know, lowering our carbon footprint and always being more efficient and sustainable in our operations. You know, is one thing, and then you identified a range of things that you all are responsible, a range of assets that you are responsible for maintaining for the town, and that may be, you know, something from a chainsaw or a weed whacker to, you know, a $300,000 or $500,000 vac truck.
yeah,
Right.
that's on order.
So, you know, so what's a normal day look like? How do you manage such a diverse set of assets like that for the town? And you know, how do you go about making sure that everything is up and operating and replaced and ordered and everything in between?
It's a challenge. Is you know, some days are worse than others. It seems like anything else, and other you know places and divisions. We're running lean. You know, with you know a startup division and looking forward, trying to build and everything. We usually start off our day with a short toolbox meeting where we all kind of just gather around, see where we're at with jobs. You know, sometimes on the way in, you know, a service from the police may be added to it. Where can we jump around? Who may need help? Can we take in that service? You know, any type of directions or anything like that that may need to change. I'll jump in anywhere to help with my guys and everything, especially. It's tough to take the wrench out of your hand, so
Yep.
as much as we have to. But you know, when my schedule allows, I'll jump in. I'll get right down on the floor with them. Whether it be ordering or running parts, a lot of times that's a big help. Or getting, you know, rolling my sleeves up, getting right into them, the job right next to the tech and helping them out. You know, so we try to be as proactive in repairs as we can. But you never know when the phone's going to ring. or somebody's gonna, knock on the door and they could have a headlight out or a flat tire, or you get a call that the, truck is down on the side of the road and, stuff happens. But in an all hands on deck situation, and everybody's running every other direction. And if we're on our workload is a little light, we'll jump in and help other divisions also wherever we can.
So what departments do you work with outside of the Department of Public Works? Obviously within there you have highway and water and sewer and parks maintenance, probably the vehicles that people see very often, but then, do you work with the police department? What other departments do you work with?
Yeah, we take care of all the police, except for their motorcycles.
Okay.
But yeah, we take care of all the police. We've been recently taking on the COA, and also the school. We've been helping out and lending a hand to also.
Yep.
My thought process is if it's a town asset, it's our job. It's not. We'll jump.
Yep.
Whether or not it's something we normally see, or Selco has come down a handful of times, and they need something real quick or whatever, and we'll pull their truck in and take care of it. It's, it's always open, or they're all public. So
Sure. Let's get into specifics of some of that work. So, on those with the DPW vehicles and the police department stuff that you service most frequently, what type of work do you do on the vehicles? Is it just routine maintenance? Do you do other types of repairs?
a good amount of what we do, mostly with, I would say, services and routine maintenance. PD is probably our largest customer.
Okay.
Let's say.
Yep.
As where other divisions and everything, which tend to be a little seasonal, such as highway, where when they're in winter mode, we try and take care of the summer, the sweepers and stuff, and also respond to the storms and everything that they have going on. So they'd probably be on our maintaining type schedule. Highway, I'd say, would be our largest customer, just for their sheer size of how much equipment they have.
Yeah.
But we work with water and sewer also, whatever they may need, and between servicing or rechassing bodies or anything like that. And I like to think that we do quite a bit for just the four of us down there.
Sure.
And everything. So.
Yeah, so what have been we'll get into some major refurbishment projects that I know you guys have worked on, especially over the past few summers, but what type of major, repairs do you do, or have you guys come across recently, beyond just general preventative maintenance, beyond brakes, things like that? What other type of work do you guys have the skill set to take on?
In my time that we've been here, we've done jobs such as one of the dump trucks replacing a head on the engine itself.
Okay.
We replaced a whole engine for the animal control vehicle just last summer. We sourced an engine and did a whole complete engine swap.
Okay.
If we can see something that we can build a better mousetrap with, we'll get into that. I like to try and keep as much in-house as I can. One, to keep the guys busy, and two, feel that's our job. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't need us if we're sending everything out.
Right.
So, but yeah, we get into some, from time to time, get into some pretty large projects.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those kind of bigger scale replacements. I'm always amazed to see the pictures that you send up to the office, as you're working your way through a project. And I know we've highlighted some of those on social
got
media.
to share one in the last newsletter that went out in the fall. So
Yeah. Why don't we talk about
fave.
some of them?
favorite.
Yeah.
That was a body rebuild.
Yeah,
that we
it
did.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that project, and how did you decide to take it on, and how did it turn out?
So the project, that one, we the dump body itself was in good enough shape to be saved, but the cost of buying a new one, things have gone extremely expensive. And it's also a truck that the division uses quite a bit and everything. So we looked at cost of what we could do in-house. We ended up cutting out the whole floor of the body after removing it from the truck. The hoist and everything, the pistons were worn out. Looked at the cost and of replacing that hole with a new underbody hoist. And we did send it out for some sandblasting and some heavy-duty marine paint and stuff. The salt likes to eat stuff, so so we're trying to prevent them and keep them in you know, these assets that they're quite expensive to begin with, and it's nothing that we're turning over every 5 years or anything like that, because to get the most out of the truck, doing the best that we can. So that was a pretty big project last year, and actually we took on 2 projects last year. The second one being, which would probably be one of my favorite. And we actually swapped the whole cab off of one of the salt trucks. Again, like I said, the salt like to eat away at it. The truck is slated to be replaced, and the truck is on order, but we had to do something to keep it in service. The cheapest, most cost-effective route was to actually find a whole complete donor truck. Working with some local vendors that we have, we were actually able to source one out of all places but Maine. And it was actually in really, really good shape. So that one was one of my favorite jobs because we actually removed the body from the frame. We, in-house, we removed the donor body, ended up having to swap over the whole electrical harness inside it. And it's stuff that you don't typically get to do on a day-to-day basis. And the other part of that was one of my techs is a very promising young up-and-coming technician. And, you know, the town, we were able to give him a shot at a position, and somebody gave me a shot one day, and, you know, and he has taken the ground running, so I was able to take him under my wing a little bit and show him some things about it, and, you know, let him head up a lot of the project. And, you know, it's a good feeling when you get it all back together and turn that key and it starts, and then it works and it heads out the gate.
How do you have the confidence to do something? Because I'm sure you've never done, you know, a cab replacement on a big dump truck before, and you know, how do you even approach that? You know, there's no step-by-step instructions from IKEA, I guess.
No. And a lot of the parts they didn't even make anymore. So, you know, being a welder fabricator, making a lot of those parts, such as cab mounts and everything, you just got to figure it out and get it done. And you know, having a good, you know, can-do attitude, you know, definitely helps. But having somebody that wants to do the job too, and sharing that the win, you know.
How many hours do you think goes into a project like that combined from everyone?
So that project we were able to pick away at throughout the summer, but probably start to finish, everything in line was probably, if I was to put one guy on it and start to finish, it would probably be a month and a half to 2 months. But we were able to work away at it, and you know, a couple times, like I say, we're only so many guys, and you know, had to pull them off of it to work on something else. And it always is a challenge to find the right people. You know, you get that right team and your core group of guys, and you know, and you're there to help them and guide them through it, and you got to train the next generation. So yeah, they're out there. Just got to find them.
So similarly, how do you kind of stay up to date with best practices? I, you know, imagine that the dump truck that we're talking about probably has a few decades on the road, you know, if you're doing that type of work on it. But, you know,
Getting close to 2. Yeah,
now,
it's in 2006.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe, you know, not so old, but, you know, we're also, or I know you also are dealing with, you know, 2023, 2024 fully electric plug-in vehicles that, you know, are under your responsibility. So how do you stay up to date with technology?
That is definitely a challenge, especially working with certain manufacturers and everything that don't want to give out any of that information. You know, luckily technicians and stuff tend to build good relationships and working relationships with people that we've met before in the past and maybe worked with and everything, or whether it be vendors or other fleet managers or anything. I'm on a fleet manager committee that we all kind of meet up in every 3 months or so and just spend a day and, hey, what's working for you? What's not working for you? I'm having trouble with these. I'm lucky enough that I've met some really good people throughout the industry in my time in it that, for instance, just a couple of months ago, I didn't know something about a code on one of the cat loaders, tobaccos for Selco. And I know a guy I used to work with that's now a cat tech. So I haven't talked to him in probably about a year or two, but we were able to pick up right where we left off and, never be afraid to ask the question. And I would do the same for him. I have a lot of old-time friends that'll reach out to me about welding questions or anything. And,
Sure.
You just build these relationships. And front office doesn't usually like it when you're calling the techs out on the floor because they want everything to go through them. But, it's like, hey, worked with them or, being from town, I've run into a lot of people that like, were my neighbors and it's like, oh, wow, So.
No, that's great. I mean, it seems like you're doing your best to stay up on technology and best practices and keep the division headed in the right direction and supporting all the efforts of a variety of departments. It's interesting to think about the variety of the scope of work and just having 4 employees in total within the division. And I know in the future, we're looking to continue to expand the role. So I'm sure it's something that you're planning for over the next 5 to 10 years to be able to take more things on.
Oh yeah. We've already, we've already taken on a lot of extra stuff also, such as a, tire machine mounting and balancing. We, able to take on that in-house. Probably the ones that benefit the most from it is PD, just for the sheer amount of miles and everything and that 24/7 operation that they're constantly running. But what used to take, say, 4 hours between getting 2 people, bringing the vehicle there, dropping it off, waiting for them to do it, going back, picking with those 2 people, picking it up, the 2 people coming back, we have now shaved down to about an hour, if that.
Yep.
And we just get it in, get it up on the lift.
Yep.
We can change them in-house. We have them in stock. We're saving money on, mounting and balancing fees and on that, uptime. So the vehicles aren't out of service. And
Yeah. I know, helping to move the division to be the best you can be also. That was, I think there were 2 parts to your capital improvement request that you got for fiscal year 23, that mounting machine and then a different approach with the tools and equipment that you have in the division. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. We the town supplies the tools for us and everything, which sometimes as a mechanic can be tough. It's usually mechanics or technicians are pretty territorial when it comes to their stuff and everything. So, so what I tried to do with the capital improvement and everything was actually get us the technicians their own working stations and outfit them, all 3 of them, with the same. We are still have some tools kicking around from the old Shrewsbury High School automotive department and stuff. So you still see them etched in there that says HAS. But so it provides the techs a little bit more efficiency knowing where those things are instead of having to wait to borrow this tool or anything. So it was kind of a different approach. It was one thing that was on my mind from when I was hired, and I saw the opportunity and presented the case and everything. And so that's definitely got a warm welcome from the techs and everything. Gives them their own kind of personal space and everything, and keeps them under lock and key, even though the building's under lock and key, and it gives them a responsibility, that feeling of responsibility. So
No, it sounds
that's
like
worked out good so far.
Yeah, sounds like the right move, and
Yeah.
can understand. And maybe one tech is super neat and orderly and the other one's a little less organized. And I can only imagine being the orderly type of person. If you needed to
Oh yeah.
deal with someone else in your toolbox, you probably get a little frustrated.
Always wipe your tools down.
Yeah. So, no, Joel, we appreciate what you do every day to help make the town the best that it can be. And I know since the division started, you being the first manager of the divisions, we made a lot of strides forward. And, you know, your thought process and innovation is really beneficial to the town. So, appreciate all that work and
Oh, thank you.
grateful to have you here.
Good to be heard.
So let's switch gears a little bit about things that are the best.
All right.
So rumor has it that you like barbecue.
Yeah, I've been known to fire up the barbecue from time to time.
All right. So what's the best barbecue food then that you like?
Oh, just for me, it's just about anything smoked, really. But
Okay.
if I had to pick something, it would probably be, the pork shoulders or pork butt, or even
Okay.
just being a welder fabricator. I have I have a few smokers of myself. I have a 4-foot by 6-foot trailer that I can do a whole hog on. And,
Oh, really?
yeah, so
Oh, wow.
that's good when you get to do something like that, because then you get to try all the between the back straps and everything. And just had a big cookout last year that we were able to do 12 pork butts on it, a bunch of different flavors and everything like that, and space them out, and
Yep.
came out real good. So,
So you make your own smokers?
yeah, and there's nothing better than just hanging around with a couple of buddies and
Couple bud. What?
yeah,
Buddies.
couple buddies,
Yeah.
and firing up the smoker and just
That's
see if
awesome.
you can make it to the
Best
end of the
side.
night.
What's the best side with your barbecue?
Side, oh well, I'm gonna have to stick with the smoking and go with smoking baked beans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
some good barbecue in Texas.
Texas. Yep.
Yep.
We went
Really, are they
Texas,
known for
yeah.
that?
We'll have to compare. Bring us a sample next time.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's always a good time.
Yeah.
So,
How about you, Taylor? Best barbecue
I love
food?
brisket.
Yeah.
I'm a big brisket
I'm a big
fan.
brisket fan too.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the brisket. I don't make my own smokers though, so
No, I don't
I
either.
can't compete with that.
Like I wasn't allowed to use the oven for a little bit, so I definitely wouldn't be allowed to use
too much smoke.
That's because you were smoking stuff in the oven.
That's not good smoking stuff in the oven. Joel.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Joel, this has been great. We appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all the work that you're doing, and interesting to hear about your story in the local government and all the work that you do for the town of Shrewsbury. Just a reminder to our listeners that if you have an idea or a comment or anything you want to reach out to us on, you can reach us at tmdownload@shrewsburyma.gov. On behalf of Taylor Galusha, I'm Kevin Mizikar. Thank you for listening.